Welcome back to the 2024 SEC Baseball Tournament Game 16 post-game press conference. Joined by Tennessee, which advanced to its 8th SEC Tournament championship game. Volunteers were represented by head coach Tony Vitello, along with all SEC second baseman Christian Moore. Winning pitcher Xander Sechrist. In a moment, Coach will give an opening statement, then we'll take questions first for the players. Wireless microphones are going around. Please identify yourself and raise your hand when you're ready to ask a question. Coach?
Yeah, obviously, if you're fortunate enough to get to this portion of the tournament, pitching is at a premium, as is energy level and stuff like that. You just got to grit it out. And our team followed Xander's lead today, so we were blessed to have him out there. And you pretty much, kind of in the beam category can know what to expect. But I think he was even better tonight and kind of built off of last time out. So it was good the team followed him. And then Chris Burke and I were talking, and some other guys too chimed in. If you don't think you got it perfectly lined up, that means someone has got to, I hesitate to say elevate, but be the best version of themselves or at least be true to themselves. And Peebles certainly was that, as was Bargo, but Marcus Phillips is the one I'm getting at. He's working on he's from the Dakotas and he hasn't played a whole lot. He's working on presence and confidence and self-belief, and probably or definitely did overdo it in that one situation where he got out of the bases loaded jam. But I don't think anybody can take away from him how he was throwing the ball tonight, and ultimately that helped us keep a lead against a team that was swinging it as good as anybody in the tournament, I think.
All right, we're going to start with questions for Christian and Xander. First on the left, third row.
Ben McKee, 24/7 Sports. Xander, you talked last week after your start in the regular season about how disappointed you were following your start against Vanderbilt in Nashville. Does that make today a little more special for you, and what was different about today compared to that start in Nashville?
Well, yeah, I would say obviously it's a little different going 6 innings compared to 2, but it was just getting back to work and looking at film, comparing it to last time I faced them. And like I said, I think I told the media earlier, like I was just cutting the ball over the middle and just missing my spot. And I wasn't doing that, fortunately, tonight, so obviously it showed.
First row on the left.
For Xander and Christian, what was it like seeing what Marcus did today? Just, with the presence, but also with the stuff that he was able to show.
It was definitely cool. That's something that we've been waiting for the whole season, for him to come out there and just do him and throw 98 and be that guy for us. And he did it tonight, and we're so grateful for him.
Yeah, just piggyback off that. It was good to see that, and obviously he's still growing as a young guy. He's got good presence. I'm not gonna lie. He's got good presence. But obviously, being new to the SEC, he'll work on a lot more stuff. But it was great to see that tonight.
First row, left side.
Xander, do you feel like it was kind of the same things that led to you having success last week that carried over to a good outing today?
Yeah, I just kind of teach every outing the same. I don't, try to have be too high or be too low. I kind of just stay even keel, and if it goes my way, it goes my way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, I'll still be the same person.
Third row in the center.
Xander, Tony said yesterday you might have been mad in the pen because you got quite hot but never got to the field. How much did that fuel you today?
Well, to be honest, I was never mad. But I kind of knew the plan going into the game, and I kind of knew the plan after the game. So I guess you can say, sure, we'll just say I was super mad, and that really fueled the fire tonight.
AirPods.
Love it.
AirPods.
And the AirPods, too.
I found them.
Fourth row, right side.
Xander, how nice is it to have that outfield behind you tracking fly balls, especially in this bigger ballpark?
Yeah, playing, I guess, in front of them because they're behind me. But it's great to have a defense, especially a guy like Christian Moore, too. He made a few plays tonight. And just all around, the defense played very, very good. And I can't be more happy than, getting quick outs.
All right, third row, center.
Christian, you were quite vocal cheering on Marcus Phillips when he was on the mound. Just what's your connection with him, and what encouraged you to be so vocal in your cheers?
We're next door neighbors, so I see him a lot. And just, I know it's tough to be in that situation. Your first time being, on a big stage like this and a bunch of noise and crowd, and you got their dugout, hype. So just trying to, just be a good friend, good teammate, just being in his ear, just trying to, reel him back in, just throw strikes and be confident.
Third row, far left.
Xander, with Cannon, I imagine this hasn't been the season he expected, but what have you seen from him throughout the season and the way he carried himself, and maybe what's led up to him to have a nice week here in Hoover, and a nice game today to help y'all get to the championship game.
Yeah, he's still the same guy every day. He works very hard. He just puts his head down and grinds. And obviously for him to have a game like this, being back there, blocking up balls and framing pitches for strikes, I mean, it was good to see, and obviously gave Cal a little rest, but it's good to have depth in that position. And obviously Peeves is a great player, and he's had his ups and downs, but it's good to see him get a multi-hit tonight.
All right, last one for the players, right side.
Eric Kane, VolQuest.com. Christian, Tim Corbin was talking about how difficult it is for opposing pitchers to have you and then Blake Burke kind of leading the charge. How dangerous do you think the combo of you and Burke are?
I think he said it right there. With me and Burke, I think we go back to freshman year, hitting back-to-back. We did it last year a little bit. But I think it's something they got to prep for, and I'm glad that Burke's on our team.
All right, Christian, Xander, thanks for your time tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
See you, fellas.
All right, if there are questions for Coach, it's right here in the center, front row.
What was different for Phillips tonight compared to Wednesday?
I think just the conviction. You can kind of see it when he's steering it in there. And, it's been pretty cool that as long as it was official. I think that makes, in 7 years, 9 guys that have thrown 100, or it's a pretty good stat, whatever it is. But that's never been Frank's emphasis, and it certainly isn't mine. But with him in particular, the harder he throws, the better he throws, because he's so big and strong and the stuff is so good. But you can kind of see when he's guiding it in there as opposed to letting it rip. And, it can come for different pitchers too. Obviously, Xander's stuff is different, but the way I heard him describing was the last time he faced his team, he was kind of guiding some pitches in. They end up bleeding over the middle of the plate. And tonight, they got into some balls. We played good defense behind him, but you could see it from the get-go that it was coming out of his hand with conviction, which at the end of the day is that's what being a competitor is put your best stuff or your best approach out on the field and just see where it gets you.
Front row on the right.
Coach Steve Robertson, Gene's Page 247 Sports. I believe you played 12 of 14 SEC schools this year. So in my mind, that qualifies you as an expert on this conference. And so in your expert opinion, does the SEC deserve 11 teams in a tournament, which would be a record, and 6 host sites, considering that this is the top college RPI conference in the country?
I think the host sites is a definite yes, because if you look at the way those rosters are stacked up and the fan bases they're going to have, it's better for college baseball, and they've earned it by surviving this league. And then I think it is a unique year. It's going to be an interesting deal when we add Texas and Oklahoma next year. But for this year in particular, there are 11 teams that have shown, and part of it was some guys, I think you all voiced your opinion that they needed to show well here, and I think it went that way. So I think you kind of have the maximum amount of teams that we would have. And I'm stealing a quote from a video coordinator of ours, so if anyone doesn't like it, it's not my fault, but just compare. I mean, if I'm not in that room, but if you're sitting there, compare those teams you're talking about to the other options and the schedule they've played and the talent they have on the roster, and I'm willing to bet all those 11 teams are better than the other options.
Front row on the far left.
Yeah. With Marcus, why did you choose to stay with him with the bases loaded there in the 8th, and then again when 2 guys got on in the 9th?
Tough one to answer other than just gut feel. I mean, there was, we had Lloyd down there hot, and it was a couple times, and he was even told, you're going to get this guy, and then we just stuck with him. And part of it is just communication with Frank. And a lot of times you just got to go with your gut, but I like it better in the corner when Coach Elander speaks up from a catcher's point of view and what he's seeing. It's a little easier when you're in that spot because you're not as so emotional and you're not stressing, well, what if I make the wrong decision and what if not? And then Frank's feedback is outstanding because he's the one calling pitches. So we've probably done that more this year than ever by nature of our staff, where we've just kind of communicated and made a group decision. And he certainly made it difficult to take him out after that first inning, but there were some dicey moments in there. Where obviously we're glad we stuck with him. He grew up a lot today. It was good.
Third row on the left.
Tony, I know you're focused on making sure your team is prepared for next week and beyond, but third tournament title game in 4 years. Is there any bit of you that's able to take a moment and reflect and appreciate that?
Not really. There's been so much emotion poured out there the last 2 nights, and we've kind of finished later at night. And then you're preparing for the next day because it comes pretty quick. You know, this was a little quicker turnaround. It'll be even quicker tomorrow. It's a fun game to be a part of. The fan situation is insane, and you know, LSU. I think we know what they'll be cooking out there in a parking lot. I wish I had time to have some of it, but you know what their fan base will be like, and I think our folks do a great job. The national anthem is always, it gives me chills at this thing. So I think it'll be a good final, and everyone will kind of have to piece together the pitching, but it's hard to worry about anything other than tomorrow, and we'll get our guys ready. I mean, you bring up, I go on a dang tangent here with you, but when you get into the postseason, there's good teams, and one team wins and the other team doesn't. So I think the fatigue thing can be beaten to death a little bit. I at least know from my experience with a couple of the teams that I've been a part of, only once can I remember where I think it was really an issue, and that was an Arkansas team that really didn't get home till Tuesday, and then we played a game till 3:30 a.m. because of the rain. I mean, the regional was just a hot mess. And we also had Oral Roberts as a 4 seed, which if you guys are interested, I know at least one guy will be interested in here. Do a little research on when Oral Roberts is your 4 seed, how it goes. Because they're not a 4 seed, but they're a 4 seed. So do research on that deal there. So other times it just, you get beat. Everybody's a little tired, and everyone's logged a bunch of innings and stuff like that. So we're blessed to be in the final. I'm sure there's some teams at home getting a little extra rest, but when next week starts, by then everybody should be pretty juiced up and pretty fresh, and it'll be a matter of, you know, how do you do on that given day? And I think one thing that'll benefit us, regardless of how tomorrow goes, is we've spaced out our pitching, you know, pretty well. Yesterday I talked about how willing our staff is. Kirby was not on the list. I said, if you want, you can face Hines. He said, I'll be good to go. I want to face more than that. And Snead was not on the list, and he came to me before the game and said, I want to pitch today. And those are the 2 guys that finished the game, and I think that kind of represents how we've been able to piece that pitching together.
All right, we have time for 2 more for Coach on the right.
Yeah, there's no time left because of my answer. Sorry.
Alex Day, College Baseball Central. Coach, you faced LSU earlier in the season. You swept them at home, but they seem to be on a different level, you know, here. How do you feel like what you scouted for, you know, earlier in the season prepares you for tomorrow?
Yeah, they're different. You'll look at it and reflect on it, but I don't think I don't know what they'll have. I don't know that we'll have the benefit of worrying too much about matchups from the pitching end of things. You know, these guys see so many good arms. It's funny in the dugout. It's like, don't you remember facing this guy? And more times than not, they don't. Blake Burke said it the other day. I wish I had a good memory. But their job isn't to study these guys. It's just to go play. And that's kind of what this time of year is anyway. I mean, the scouting report stuff helps, and there might be split decisions that need to be made, but, you know, the athletes will determine it out on the field. And the one thing about, you know, playing them tomorrow is, you know, they have some people travel with them, but it'll be 50-50 or 40-40 with 20% of other people in here. They'll have their fans with them, which I think helps them in this tournament and other tournaments, but also they're a different team. They're playing better right now and have found themselves a little bit, which is good.
Front row, left side.
You anticipate Russell throwing tomorrow, and who are some other guys that could potentially pitch?
Yeah, we talked about let's not push it today. He kind of flirted back and forth with it. And then at the worst, you know, we talked about either Monday or Tuesday facing hitters. We're past the point of throwing a bullpen to prepare. So he's ready for next Friday. So that's the goal. We'll focus on whatever he's got to do to be ready for next Friday. And maybe it'll be a conversation, you know, with him in the morning or even after he plays catch. So were you just talking about the other pitchers?
Yeah, what other guys think are available?
We'll use a couple guys, and then we'll probably go to you, to be honest with you. Or, you know, who knows? Christian Moore thinks he's available. He's not. But there's a couple position guys that be called on. And, hey, we'll approach it as intelligently as we see fit. It would be disrespectful to not put your best foot forward. But at the same time, I don't think we're looking to gas anybody out tomorrow that's already put in good work for us in this tournament and got us to this point. So some guys will have to look at Mr. Andrew Benke and Marcus Phillips and say, I can do that as well.
All right, Coach, appreciate your time.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Probably not.
45 out there. 'Cause maybe a little